Parshas Mishpatim deals a lot with the adjudicating halachas and so on. And one of the points discussed is going with the majority. The pasuk says that we won't go with the majority in a case where there is leisiach rab leros, losana rab lintos acharab lahatos. But normally, when we have any type of issue, we go acharabim. It sounds to us like simple halacha. You go with a majority because probably majority is right, and so on. But it's really, there's a question to be asked. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the emes, and the emes is something which may not be the province of the majority. So imagine someone is an incredibly big Talmid Chacham. He's a Vilna Gaon. He's a world-class genius, and with due respect to all the other people in the Beis Din, he's much smarter than them, and he knows that they're wrong, and he knows that he's right. So wouldn't it be appropriate that he do what's right? We can sort of sharpen the question with the understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's chosamo emes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's seal is truth, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not want chas v'shalom any type of sheker. So why is it that we'll go after the Rabbi? So the Chinuch says a pshat over here, and I'd like to maybe spend a minute or two thinking into the pshat. He says, She'ilu nistavinu, the kaimu ha'torah kashetuch la'asik v'nos hamitis, had the core instruction of how to judge a particular halacha would be told, do it to the best of your understanding. Then he says each person would think differently, and he says everyone would have a different opinion. People have different deos. The yetzim is a churban shete'asa ha'torah kekama torahs. The Torah would become many, many Torahs. Everyone will decide on his own basis. But now, now that we've been told we must accept the rule of the majority, there is one Torah for all of us, and that's how we exist. So the Chinuch says that the reason why that's the overarching decisor of the halacha is the majority, because or else we'd have many, many Torahs. Let's try to understand why that outweighs the quote-unquote truth. Now, the simple reason would be because maybe there's one genius that knows better than everybody else. Most people who know better than everyone else, quote-unquote, are far, far behind. So that's practical, but that's not what the Chinuch says. The Chinuch says there'll be many Torahs. So I'd like to offer two possible understandings of what the core issue that is. The first is that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu core description is Hashem Echad. We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as Echad. That's the description that's meant to be the ultimate description. Now, if his Torah is given to each person's understanding, it means that the Devar Hashem and what's taught in his name is a million different Torahs. In a certain sense, it's sort of expressing the Hefra V'Emunah. What it is expressing is that there are many, many gods, because there's so many different Torahs. And therefore, in order to express Hashem Echad, we must go with majority, everybody in Klal Yisrael has one psak, and that's what we follow. There's a second understanding of this, possibly, and it does fit quite into his words. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has two levels at which he would like the Dvar Hashem to be fulfilled. He would like every single person to fulfill Dvar Hashem, and he would like the Klal, as a Klal Yisrael, to fulfill Dvar Hashem. The Klal Yisrael as a community, as a nation, expresses that the obedience to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the listening to Torah. If you were to have many, many different Torahs, so to speak, then Klal Yisrael as a klal is not keeping Torah. Each and every single person is keeping something or other. There's nothing that I could say this is Torah Yisrael when there are 1,001 different ways and minhagim and stuff like that. So it's not just the it's like Hashem Echad. Klal Yisrael as a klal, we have no way of describing the people as keeping Torah. And it's Torah achas likulanu v'hu kiyemenu gadol ba. So that creates a Torah achas and makes Klal Yisrael one Torah. So one reason would be because the affirmation of Hashem Echad is by having one Torah, and one explanation is because Klal Yisrael as a nation. And the truth is, we say At Echad v'Shimcha Echad u'Mika Amcha Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'aretz. So there's the Echad of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there's the Echad of Klal Yisrael, and that is Klal Yisrael is Goy Echad Ba'aretz. They are also Echad, and keeping one Torah is the Echad. Now the question is, what happens? Again, I'm this tremendous genius. I know it all, and I understand better, and I know everyone's making a mistake. So the Chinuch says, "Vafilu imlo yechavnu." When we do as the Sanhedrin tells us, we're doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu really wants from us. That's what he wants from us. And even if they did not get it right, they're the ones who later have to bring a Parham Dava, not me. They are the carbon, not the Yachid. So the point is that we have if we ask ourselves, what is our obligation? Bottom line obligation is to do what the Sanhedrin said to do. But even if I know they're wrong, I'm doing right by listening to them and doing what they tell me to do. And they're going to have to deal with the fact that they did not judge right. So let's recap this whole thing. The Torah, emes is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's midah, and when we learn Torah, we strive to be omer al emes and the psak and so on. But when it comes to keeping the halachas of the Torah the Torah prioritized a psak that is binding for everyone, and that is called the Choram Lahatos. The Bezna Gadol, when it comes to them, they consider the case, they think about it, and then they pass judgment. That judgment is binding on everyone. The reason for that is because or else the Chinuch says there would be many Torahs. We explained one of two explanations, and possibly both are correct. One is, since Hashem is Echad, it's a certain blasphemy to project many Torahs. So there's no Hashem Echad because everyone's got a different a Torah that claiming Kosh Baruch Hu said that. Two, we are not projecting as a klal the adherence to a Torah. If everyone's own thing, there's no klal yisrael that's obeying Torah. Everyone's obeying something else. Possible support for this point would be when there's no Sanhedrin or halachas of Sanhedrin, we have halachas of Lotus go to do. You can't have many different psakim in one place. There's a difference if there's two batei dinim irachas or beznachas. If you have two batei dinim, each person follows the bezdin that he follows. Now, the logic behind that is that a bezdin represents, absent a Sanhedrin, which encompasses all of Klal Yisrael and passing all Klal Yisrael. Once that's out, a bezdin and a community beholden to bezdin represents a klal to a certain sense. So when you have two batei dinim in irachas, you have a sense of a community acting a certain way. If you don't, you have one bezdin that allows everyone to do their own thing. Even though we're talking about the level of minhag, we're not talking about halacha. It also projects a certain sense of there is no sibur that's keeping Torah. Sacharam lahatos overrides emes, because emes we have no way of determining, and each and every person is a Yosha ben Avyasa, it becomes an absolute churban. We rely on the Sanhedrin. We say that we go with their rov, even if they do not get it right, and I know better. I did the right thing by listening to them, like the famous story of Rabbi Shur and Gamliel, where Rabbi Shur gave it to Gamliel, and Gamliel said, "You're my superior, possibly in learning and understanding, but you've appropriately humbled yourself and accepted my ruling." Bezdin rules one. It means Klal Yisrael is keeping Torah as one. There's one Torah. It means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is projected as Echad. So when we don't have a Sanhedrin, each community represents that. Bez Hashem, when Sanhedrin comes back, we'll have both. We'll have the everyone keeping the halacha, and like they said, and Bez Hashem, it'll be mechuven al emes lamita.